I got an invite to a gay hookup, part 2. To say that I was shocked would be an understatement. I was gobsmacked, flabbergasted, and dumbstruck. I certainly felt very dizzy. I held onto the counter to balance myself. Surely, I was having a bad dream. How could have I been talking to someone I hated for several weeks and developed a friendship without knowing? This was against the laws of nature. To me, he had been the cold, calculating boss's son, not someone who had feelings or actually liked anyone. My mind was short-circuiting at that moment, and I did not think that I was going to be okay in a while. I tried to think, make sense of the whole thing, but I came up with nothing. He also looked shocked to see me as well. He was looking me up and down with those reptilian eyes of his, as if I was something that he had picked from the bottom of his shoe. Well, I was also not happy that it had been him that I had been talking to. Deep regret was the other feeling lying under all the emotions I was feeling. I regretted replying to that text message. I wished that I had not decided to keep on talking to him. Curiosity had led me somewhere I had not intended. I regretted spending all that time talking to him. What had I been thinking? You? I spat out, venom in my voice. Yes, me. I could have never guessed that you of all people would be the person I was talking to. I was hoping that it would be Bill from HR. It never crossed my mind. Even once, he laughed bitterly. Sorry to burst your bubble then, Your Highness, I said sarcastically. Would anyone care to explain to me what's going on? Theo suddenly interrupted us. I had completely forgotten about him. Then disappointment set in. I had wanted it to be Theo so much. Of course, things would turn out this way. It was like something out of a Wattpad book. I will explain to you later, I said to him. Oh, you thought I was Theo? Theo who has a girlfriend? Devin said. He caught me off guard. He had all the warmth of an ice glacier, with perfect cold lips sneering at me. I cannot believe that I was smiling at his words. His voice just yesterday. That went to show how much life sucked. I did not know that Theo had a girlfriend. I had gotten vibes from him. I guessed that I had misread. Now how was I going to look at him in the eyes again? It was going to be so awkward at work from that day on. How could I have been so stupid, thinking that greenish blue was a kind of blue? That should have been a sign from the beginning. She said your name was Vince. Theo's name is Vince, I said, salvaging for the last bit of hope I had. My second name is Vince. I was not going to tell my real name to someone that I had never met before. Worst of all, when I found out that I was in the same company as you. I could not let you find out that I was the boss's son. I did not want to be treated differently. His voice cracked and his eyes glazed over. But then he blinked, and he was back to being his old self again. He was so good at putting up that facade of not caring. What I knew was that the ones who acted like they did not care were the ones who cared the most. I see, I said. There was nothing more I could say to him at that moment. I needed to process all that had just occurred, but not in front of him. There was so much to unpack here. I was still in disbelief. I was going to be very strange to be around them both at work. I think I need to go now, I said to them. I did not wait for a response, I just left them standing there. I felt a pair of eyes burning onto my back. I knew without a doubt who the glare belonged to. Only he could have icy eyes that burnt. I walked as if on autopilot. I did everything out of habit, not because I was paying attention to what I was doing. I do not even know when I even got in my car and drove off. I just remember arriving at home and going to bed. I felt my phone buzzing with calls and texts, but I ignored all of them. I was not in the mood to deal with anyone at that moment. I felt as if the rug had been ripped from beneath my feet. The one time that I had met someone decent whom I liked, and he had turned out to be this person I did not like at work. It was not fair. I was tired of feeling this way. I was tired of feeling the pain of being alone. Maybe that was why I had started talking to the person who was not right for me. There was no point in lamenting right now. The damage had been done. No, it had not been done. I would not let him affect me, nor would I let him mean anything more than he was. I was much smarter than that. I was going to carry on with my life, like everything was normal. I was going to treat him professionally, and there was nothing that would make me crack. I was going to pretend as if none of this had even happened. It was what was best for everyone involved. I needed a drink. This was not something I wanted to deal with while sober. So then I went out for a drive. I bought a few bottles of beer at the local market and went back home. I then began to drink them while sitting on the patio, thinking of the past few hours. Luckily for me, it was the weekend, so I did not have to go into work. At least I had been given that small comfort. Monday. My stomach had been a knot all weekend. I kept on refreshing my emails, expecting an email saying that I was fired. It would not be a surprise to me at all. Devin had the power to hire and fire if he wanted to. He would get rid of me and no one would bat an eye. He had that kind of power. I was at his mercy. I went in to work on Monday expecting a sacking, but I got quite the opposite. He did not call me to his office once. When he needed something, his secretary emailed me, and I would send it over to her. Usually, he would be making me run errands that were not part of my job description. On the other hand, I had talked things through with Theo. He was very understanding of the whole situation, and he did not make me feel bad for it. I was very happy that he and I were okay now. I did not think that I would be able to handle more awkwardness at work. Whatever I liked it or not, I did have to talk to Devin sometime soon. Later on that day, I was called by his dad into his office. I was very surprised because his dad barely called me into his office. We usually communicated via emails and calls. I knocked on the door and entered the office. Standing there was the one and only Devin. I almost turned around and went back, but I controlled myself. "Good afternoon, sir," I said. "Good afternoon, Bill," his dad said. "You called for me?" I asked. "Yes, I have an important business trip to attend. I was supposed to get through this paperwork, but now I have to leave. I called you here because I want to put the two of you in charge for a few days. The both of you are hard workers, so I'm sure that you'll be able to handle the company for a few days," he said. My eyes widened in shock. What an opportunity! A great way to prove myself to the boss, even if it involved working with Devin. "Of course, sir," I said. So then I got stuck sharing an office with Devin for a few days. The tension could be cut by a knife. We barely said a word to each other while working together. What surprised me, though, was that he was good at his job. He had always seemed lazy, assigning any grunt work to some employee, but now he was working efficiently. There was also something else there. The feelings had not gone away in the space of some time. I could not forget the glimpse of what I had caught of him. I could not help but desire to see him like that again. Now that I had seen what lay beneath that mask, I wanted to rip it off, toss it in the fire. What lay beneath was so much more beautiful. Eventually, we started talking again. It started with greetings and small requests, but we got friendlier. I found out that he was very smart. He always seemed to be a spoiled brat a few days ago, but now I was forced to reevaluate my opinion of him. He was most likely not as bad as I had initially thought. Somehow, we fell into a friendlier relationship. By the time his dad came back, we were on good terms with each other. We had debates about work and how to solve the problems that we had faced in this institution. I also found out why he never seemed to have time to do the paperwork. He was completing a short course on medicine. Once I knew that, I covered for him to the best of my ability. The more I was exposed to the side of him that was warm, the more I started to feel things that I had never expected I would feel in a million years. I found myself drawn to him. I would catch myself staring at him sometimes, admiring how his eyes looked when they caught the sun. He caught me staring one day. He looked at me with a knowing look on his face, daring me to keep looking at him, daring me to stay into the windows of his soul and figure out who he was. I looked away as if burnt by a hot poker. I knew for certain that whatever was brewing between us was going to come to a crescendo one day. I could not wait for that day, but I was also scared. I felt exposed. I had not let go of his past self, the white wolf. I still caught glimpses of the warrior wolf now and then. He was beautiful yet frightening, if that made any sense. I wanted him to spare me, but I also wanted him to feed on me and see if I was enough for him. But what could I do? He was my boss's son. I could not do anything about it. I was sure that I would look bad if I started anything with him, so I left him alone, even though a feral part of me wanted to disobey the rules. Yes, I wanted to sin. Sin truly is the sweetest poison, one you will die drinking out of, unquenchable thirst. I was not prepared when he told me that he was leaving the company to pursue medicine. I was heartbroken. I did not want to lie. "Hey you," he said when I opened the door for him. I had invited him over to hang out since we had never hung out. "Hey, Trouble," I said. "Why are you calling me Trouble?" he asked, his mouth forming an O. I stared at his mouth for a second, but then I decided to look away before he caught me staring at his lush mouth. I started giggling. "I hope that you're still able to giggle once I kick your ass on FIFA," he smirked. "In your dreams, sweetie," I smirked. We caught each other's eyes. The challenge was on. 2 hours later. So he had made true on his promise and showed me fire at FIFA. I kept on begging him for one more game, but he was just too good. "What do you want to eat?" I asked. All the playing and taking all my energy had left me very tired, so I needed to get something to eat. "Takeaways?" he asked. "Yep, I cannot cook," I shrugged. The life of a bachelor. "Me either, lol. I feel like a cheeseburger. What about you?" he asked. "Same here, actually," I said. So then we ordered some takeaway. I went back to sit with him after ordering our food. So what'd you like to do next? I asked him. No idea. What do you have in mind? He asked, turning to look at me. He looked extra good tonight. I was having a hard time trying to keep my hands to myself. This was going to be so difficult, especially with his scent on my nose. Are you looking at me? He asked. I'm not. I'm looking behind you, I said. Liar. Then he started to lean in. I automatically leaned into him and our lips connected. I felt desire course through my veins as our lips moved in sync. I grabbed his shirt and pulled him closer to me. I kissed him slowly but passionately, savoring the sweet taste of it. He started to trail kisses on my neck, and I kissed his neck back. He smelled so good. His scent continued to drive me wild. Everything about him drove me wild. Everywhere he touched me, I felt tingles. I wanted and needed more of his touch. I could not do without it at the moment. Just as things were heating up, the enemy of progress, my doorbell rang. I groaned as I pulled away from him. I ran my fingers through my hair and smoothed my shirt over so it looked more presentable. I opened the door and got our food. I did not look the delivery guy in the eye as I took our food. I was way too flustered over the hot makeout session that I had just partaken in. I tipped him and he went off on his way. Well then, I guess our food is here, I said. I thought that it would never come. I'm so hungry that I could eat a cow, he said. Heh, you're about to eat me just now, I teased. I enjoyed watching all the color rush to his cheeks. He was too damn cute for his good. Right, funny, he said in a deadpan voice, but I could see the twinkle in his eyes. He was deeply amused by what I had just said. Well then, let us eat. I'm starving, I said. We each took our burgers and ate them while we watched a movie on Netflix. After that, we got up to a few things. I have to say our night was very nice. The next morning, we had cuddled and kissed the previous night. That was all. We were not ready to go all the way. At breakfast, we talked about how we were going to proceed with the whole thing. So, what are we going to do? He asked. I do not know about you, but last night meant something to me. I took the risk and I told him how I felt. Even though there was a chance for rejection, I could take it. Me too. It was not just a random hookup. I genuinely like you, just so you know, he said, looking down. And I like you too, I said. Maybe we could explore this. See where it's leading? He asked. Yes, that's a wonderful idea. I would love to see where this connection is going to lead us, I smiled, holding his hand. And so we did just that. In between our busy schedules, we went on several dates. It did not take a rocket scientist to figure out that we were very attracted to each other. So then, we officially started dating a few weeks after. I was very happy that his father approved of us. I had not expected it, but it was a very pleasant surprise. He was also doing very well in his course for medicine, which was no surprise due to how smart he was. I still could not believe that we had fallen in love. Love had never been something that found me. One thing I learned was that love is not something that you can chase. It decides when it comes to you and in which form. Resistance is futile. It only strengthens the relationship, if anything. I had been wrong to think that he was not a good person. Misconceptions about other people are harmful. Everyone has that sweet side to them. I managed to tame my white wolf and I found love that I was sure would last for a long time. At least, that was what I had hoped. You never know with love, it's so volatile. When I look back, I do not regret answering that text. That is one thing I would do over and over again. All thanks to an invitation to a hookup and a wrong number. The end. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.